Hello VN fans, how are you doing? Today we have a review of Amnesia Memories, which is hitting the Nintendo Switch very soon. This review was written by the lovely Lilia Helal, so please go follow her on Twitter with the links in the description for more VN goodness. And of course, subscribe to VN Paradise, hit that bell button, it will be the best thing you do today. It has been 7 years since the original localization of Amnesia came to the West as Amnesia Memories, available digitally only on PlayStation Vita, PC, Apple and Android, but is now heading to the Nintendo Switch. The offerings of Otome localizations were few and far between for Western audiences around this time. It consisted of Hirameki International testing the waters of localizing the genre for the very first time with Yojinbo, made available within the US only in 2006. There was also Axis Games, who released the classic Hakuoki in 2012 and the unfairly forgotten about Sweet Fuse at Your Side in the following year, both for PSP. Come 2015, Hirameki International dissolved while Axis Games went full steam ahead in fronting their efforts of bringing the genre to the West by localizing Code Realize Guardian of Rebirth and Nor 9 Var Coms. But then a new challenger appeared, that of Idea Factory International, who presented to the West what we would consider a classic of the genre due to its ease of playing, availability, and for the simple fact that it was one of the earliest localizations of the genre. This made for the highest likelihood of any veteran Otome player whose first exposure to the genre was through either Hakuoki or Amnesia Memories. But that's enough of a history lesson. Now that it's been ported to the Nintendo Switch, you have no reason not to play it. The story of Amnesia Memories follows the unnamed heroine who wakes up on the 1st of August with no memories. She has amnesia and has forgotten everything about who she once was and the world around her, including her supposed boyfriend. Players select one of 4 worlds after this brief introduction to the game, and its narrator, Orion, who acts as the heroine's conscious. He instructs the heroine to remember who she was while keeping her amnesia a secret to protect her from those with malicious intentions. You won't know who to trust, so be on your toes in avoiding meeting a bad ending before she can piece the puzzles together. It's going to be a rocky road ahead filled with paranoia and distrust. While the story is extremely flimsy with an initial glimpse of it, there's a lot to it structurally that makes this classic Otome withstand the test of time, while still being a product of its time for some constricted design choices that the genre has improved upon since its creation and initial release. Firstly, the game throws you into the deep end immediately. Players select one of 4 worlds that are immediately available, with the final hidden world being unlocked after getting the good endings of the other worlds. These routes are called World of Hearts, World of Diamonds, World of Clovers, and World of Spades. The 5th and final hidden character route is called the Joker World. We will not make any obvious links to which love interests are representative of which world to keep the element of surprise, but the point of its structure is exactly that. There is no common route. Players instead jump straight into selecting a route from the get-go. It's an unusual structure for an Otome, even in this day and age, with it being one of the most unique factors that adds to its unconventional structure, where its routes are all tied together. This is only noticeable during its hidden character route, despite all the subtle hints made throughout. For this reason, it takes advantage of the visual novel formula, no matter which route order you play through. It is incredibly clever and deceptive in this way, whilst never actually hiding anything from the player, but encourages them to figure everything out before it's all revealed. The unpredictability of how each route plays out is due to how unique each one is for how alternative they all are when making comparisons. There is a splendid amount of attention to detail that is consistent throughout the routes in its writing, since each route features different factors to the characters and their backgrounds, such as their history with the other characters and their employment status or job role. It all reinforces how each world is an alternative timeline, all held within the same universe. Speaking of how each world differs to maintain a sense of dread in what to expect, the same can be said for some of its characters. A persistently entertaining aspect of such a design is with the cafe's manager Waka, who the heroine works under. His personality will differ depending on which route the player is on. There is a nice number of red herrings, twists and turns in the routes that keeps each storyline fresh and exciting. However, the pacing can sometimes be at the expense of having to struggle through its more meandering and uneventful chapters. A very telling sign of this is noting who the scenario writers are. Kamura Nazuna wrote the main scenario, whilst Mochizuki Yue wrote Toma's route. and the hidden route, both being the better written and most entertaining of the routes. This does not relate to the characters, however, with all the love interests having their own quirks and varying degrees of depth that makes each one enjoyable enough to make them memorable and lovable in their own right, sometimes outlandishly so. This means that most players will not enjoy all the characters for what they represent, but this results in there being a love interest that will definitely be for your liking due to their extreme differences. The love interests themselves keep all the intrigue going, each being completely different in their temperaments, story relevance, and roots, with each one offering something different in terms of even genre. Character archetypes consist of Shin being a tsundere with one of the sharpest tongues for his character archetypes. If you enjoy Takeru from Collar X Malice, he will also be to your liking. Ikki is a flirtatious playboy, but don't be dismissive of him too soon. Then there's Kent, whose route feels like the player is emulating a relationship counselor of sorts because he's too much of a nerd to understand how romance works. Help him and the heroine reconcile and play matchmaker. And finally, there is Toma, a protective and dependable older big brother type who is juxtaposed to Shin being a childhood friend of the heroine who is younger than her. A general rundown of route genres consists of one route putting the player in the role of a detective in a whodunit mystery by discovering how the heroine lost her memories. Another takes the most typical romantic formula with the best character development as the couple fail to see eye to eye due to a persisting issue in their poor communication. A different one is a high school drama that borders on a thriller, whilst the last one becomes an all-out horror, much like how Cupid Parasite made its own routes refreshing and have their own unique spins on its established world and story. Amnesia Memories was an early and impressive example of doing just that. It's all about experiencing these parallel universes to feel out what the truth is before it's all revealed in its hidden character route, which is the highlight of the game. Getting the Joker world will make the purchase of Amnesia Memories alone worth it, just for the sheer amount of emotional turmoil it inflicts upon the reader for all the tragedy that takes place. When it comes to the heroine, she leaves a lot to be desired, but as a heroine from a 2011 Otome, it's always to be expected, and especially for such a plotline that she's starring in. Her default name is simply Heroine, and is one of the earliest examples of a main character within the genre being a Mary Sue. She's got nothing going for her, and is quite literally a blank slate because of her amnesia. Since she's also mute, Orion acts as the narrator of the game and the push of any narrative happening since he says and carries out each action when stringing along the heroine. She is a passive heroine through and through, but it is eye-revealing when characters comment on how the heroine used to be before her amnesia, which greatly differs depending on the route. More often than not, she is actually said to be a heroine who is more to the liking of the vocal and assertive heroines within the genre. For example, Variable Barricade and Burashana. It's a prevailing feature of Amnesia Memories that we can hopefully see firsthand in its sequels because it is only the lacking feature of the original game. In terms of systems and designs, Amnesia Memories is quite involved as far as keeping your eyes peeled and managing parameters for the genre. There are 3 parameters involved here: affection, trust, and suspicion. Keeping suspicion low while increasing affection and trust is the goal here, so ensure to save often and frequently check the status page since there are no visual indicators when selecting the correct dialogue choices. This does maintain the high tension throughout the playthrough though, and makes players seriously and carefully question their choices. On that note, it is a must when approaching Amnesia Memories to know that it is on the more unassumingly outrageous side of things, especially in its endings. Suddenly hitting a dead end, and we mean a literal death ending of the heroine, will happen more often than not. Amnesia Memories could be viewed as more of a survival horror for how frequently you can find yourself on a bad ending that often results in the heroine being killed. This is a game for those who like their storylines on the darker side. Even on your way to a good ending, certain characters appear with eerie music playing when their sprite changes their expression that rivals when the villainous alien enters in Amnesia. There is legitimate terror felt when one character in particular struts onto screen with the accompanying track of Peril playing. Backgrounds have a distinctive style within its minimalistic yet colourful design that captures the eye but never takes attention away from the very busy character designs. Their designs are extremely intricate and detailed that will have you both question how they can sleep at night wearing it all, and appreciative of the mind that came up with such an imaginative tailoring and fits the test of time for a story set in a contemporary world. You can thank Mai Hanamura specifically on that part. It fits nicely to the more outlandish events and fantastical elements of the game overall, when some design choices are as far-fetched as they are. Try counting how many belts Kent wears on a daily basis for that point. Finally, Amnesia Memories also comes with mini-games to be unlocked and found in its bonus content that involve rock, paper, scissors, and air hockey. This is alongside a gallery, extra stories, and opening ending clips. Overall, Amnesia Memories is called a classic within the West for a good reason, and there are plenty of reasons for that matter. From its unconventional structure, consistent character writing with subtle and differing elements to be found within each world, to better paint an overall picture of its universe, and extremely satisfying but emotional send-off. However, if you're looking for a romance-focused Otome, be sure to look elsewhere. Even on the same console, you have the pick between Olympia Soiree and Cupid Parasite, which are undeniably the most romantic ones on the Nintendo Switch as of now. Before we wrap up, be sure to ensure to go through the game in the following order of World of Clovers, Spades, Hearts, Diamonds for the best mind screw plot progression as events and storylines get progressively wilder. Overall, the verdict for Amnesia Memories was and still is an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you to Lilia for writing this review. Go check out her with the link in the description. If you need some eShop credit, then also check the links below as you can support us as well. We will have a review of the fan disc later, X Crowd, a bit later on. It's going to take a while, but we will have a review for that, so be sure you're subscribed and click that bell button. Check out more of our stuff. We've got lots of VN goodness for you.